Good evening. This is the Pale Criminal. I just thought that the easiest way to start these videos would be to give you an introduction to me and to what I'm intending on doing. The easiest way to start, I guess, is to explain to you who the Pale Criminal is. First and foremost, the Pale Criminal was a character from Friedrich Nietzsche's book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. For those of you who have read it, you will recognize the character. For those who haven't, well, you'll get used to it. For me, it became an image of shame in a life dedicated to never feeling that emotion again. Over time, that character has evolved into something of an anti-hero for a thoughtful soul. I've been thinking about doing something like this for quite some time. Uh, Years ago, and I'm not going to talk about how many years, uh, I began a study of humanity, how they think, how they interact, and historically how they've been organized. Also, quite a long time ago, I was distracted from that path of study by personal trials, by personal trials, sorry. Uh, but I've decided that I need to return to that. In my day-to-day, I'm besieged by images, thoughts, statements that, to be as straight as I can, uh, generate of varying degrees of irritation, anger, frustration, you name it, that category of reaction. And it's become clear to me that someone needs to take up the purpose of truth, try to dismantle that vast array of corrupted half-truths and, well, honestly, veiled lies. That kind of leads into the purpose of this whole thing. Um, I'll take a step away from it for a second. Uh, the character Zarathustra, which for those who've known me for years is close to my heart. Uh, he spent years and years in the wilderness alone, seeking the foundations of what he would have termed true understanding, or in Nietzsche's terms, learning the means to overcome himself. To be fair, I don't have any lofty goal like that. I am more than content with living in our society as opposed to extracting myself from it. While I don't have that level of lofty goal, I do feel the need to smash through some of the veils of fear and public scrutiny to recover some semblance of truth for myself and for those who are willing to set aside the comfort to examine our modern values. The first thing I'm going to have to do, I suppose, is to present a case for seeking truth, despite the relatively common perception that nothing really new can be discovered. I want to tear down those pillars of social truth, I guess it would be the easiest way to say that. Uh, Present people with other options to consider, options that are outside of their comfort zones. So, who do I expect to be listening to this, to be watching me? to be talking to me. Um, I'll go back to Zarathustra again. When he was seeking followers, he went to the marketplace because it was there that he'd meet common men, men not already corrupted by these scholars and learned men. Back to the present, every single day I see images posted everywhere, whether it be on Facebook or in the newspaper, you name it, on TV. There's dozens of images, slogans, in a with an assumption of moral superiority. I don't condone or have any respect for those. When it comes to assuming, there's a saying for that. My audience really are going to be those who have the fortitude to withstand some rather unpopular opinions. Uh, Folks that are willing to go the extra mile to expand their personal understanding. I don't seek disciples, and I certainly don't expect that most people are going to like what I have to say. I don't need you to like what I have to say. I want people to challenge my opinion. As Nietzsche would say it, I want challenging friends, not fans. Sort of get into a little bit more of what I'm going to actually say. uh, in the big picture, the thoughts I express will be less important to me and to my viewers than the dialogue that they inspire. I gain more, have always gained more from other people's interpretation of things than I have from my own adaptations. I'm not going to voice opinions because they're popular or nice. I'm not looking for that kind of audience. Uh, the truth of what I'm going to be speaking about will often be shocking. It may even offend some viewers. I'm not intending to generate offensive material. However, I've found over the years, often speaking honestly is objectionable to those, let us say, conditioned by the present state of verbal comfort. I'm going to speak of topics as they occur to me, either because of something recalled from past reading or inspired by comments recently read. That's where my viewers are going to come in quite handy, because I'm sure that as I speak, it's going to generate reactions and responses. I also challenge every single one of you that view these videos, either this one or any one along the way. If it inspires a question, toss it back at me. I will either give a brief response in the comments or personally, or it may well inspire one of these videos. Just a kind of a final thought, or a series of final thoughts, is probably closer to the truth. The channel's my attempt to make what right the error of my youth, but it's also an attempt to rectify what I see as social ills. I'll get into that concept a lot more, I'm sure, along the way. So bear with me. Despite what will inevitably be thought and said, I'm sure, Uh, I want to just start this whole series out by saying, without a glimmer of concern, I'm not a bigot of any sort, nor do I have any hateful or politically motivated, I guess it would be a nice way of saying it, intentions. My criticism of accepted ideals are considered thoughts, not politically, as I said, or socially motivated in any way. Other than that, they are made in the expressed hope that people can once again have an open discussion about topics that most people consider closed. And just as a final thought, for anyone that's wondering right now, uh, if I have one ideal, and folks that know me know this about me, uh, if there's one thing that carries me from day to day, that directs my actions all the time, it's a concept from the gospel, I guess. Uh, Whether you're a believer or not is irrelevant to me. Uh, whether you have religious intention, inclination at all is irrelevant. The concept, the precept of loving one's neighbor, and that's an ideal that I hold close to heart, despite anyone's expressed opinions, beliefs, objections, you name it. I live my life based on that precept. There isn't a gray area with that. So, as I'd said earlier, if I speak to something that is offensive to someone, it's not an inspired offense. I am exactly what I say I am, seeking knowledge and hoping to provide thoughtful contemplation for other people. That's kind of my intro. The topic of my first official video, I'm thinking I'm going to talk about a concept that's very close to home for everything I'm going to be doing afterwards, and it just seemed like the right spot to talk about it in detail. Uh, Political correctness. Uh, there's a variety of responses that people have for that, but you can expect a video on that within a few days. I wanted to get this out of the way and sort of get myself out there as a start point. So until we talk again, uh, enjoy your evening, enjoy your day whenever you're reading this or seeing this, sorry. Uh, and let me know what you think. If you have ideas that you might want to talk about down the road, throw them at me. Thank you.